Internet giant Google has been accused of seriously compromising US national security. On its Maps webpage, it revealed to the public a restricted airbase for its unmanned drones. Users of the search engine can clearly see the base in Nevada and some of the drones on the runway. Well, for more on this, I can now cross live to investigative journalist Russ Baker. Can you give us an idea of what you think Google Maps have actually revealed, Russ?
Well, what the news organizations that spotted this saw and have published is a photo that very clearly shows what seems to be a drone, the super secret drone, on a secret air base near Yucca Lake in Nevada. And of course, this is the type of technology that the United States government is desperately trying to keep away from prying eyes. We know with this recent development with Iran having commandeered and then taken down a drone, and now they're reverse engineering it and learning about all the parts, that governments are under pressure like never before. How are they going to keep their secrets? And so what we see here is a public company like Google has a very, very good technology. You can go right to their maps and just zoom in. For example, I am in New Mexico right now, and I went to look at the Los Alamos National Laboratory. I have to say, for some reason, that one does not show up when you zoom in. You cannot see it. Why you can see some air bases and you can't see other facilities, I don't know.
Well, is it because Google is perhaps being either irresponsible, negligent, or naive?
You know, I mean, their function is to send satellites around the world to map the world for us, and that's what they're doing. There are so many of these entities everywhere. The United States has military bases supposedly in more than 100 countries. You can imagine how many there are in the United States. Some of them are supposedly not even supposed to exist. And so it's a big, you know, they'd have to tell Google all of their secret facilities first and then ask them to go to great measures to obscure them.
Well, clearly not a good thing for an internet company to get its hands on such sensitive information, but there seems to be a conflict between public interest and national security issues here. Can they be resolved?
Well, this is the big question, I think, in the near future. We're seeing more and more of a conflict because governments themselves are extremely hypocritical. They want to know everything about us. And of course, those drones are doing the exact same thing that the Google satellites are doing. They're zooming all the way in, and they can actually see people's vehicles and who's doing what. And they're taking pictures of everything. So they want to be able to essentially pry into everyone's lives and have no one pry into what they're doing. So I think we're going to have a national and indeed international conversation about the importance of both privacy and the need to know, and try to figure out how we're going to sort that all out in the public interest.
But then governments would surely be criticized for withholding information which may be deemed as public interest. And so that creates another issue, doesn't it?
It does, but you know, particularly with the United States government, with which I'm most familiar, this is a huge problem. They have classified millions and millions of documents. Some of them are decades old, and there seems to be no legitimate reason they refuse to let them go. They won't even release most of the documents pertaining to the assassination of John F. Kennedy, and that was almost 50 years ago.
The problem is, with technology developing the way it is, it makes the appetite for information to become more and more stronger, doesn't it? And people want to have more and more transparency.
Well, that's right, and also there's the prurient interest. I mean, we want to zoom in and see what Brad Pitt's house looks like, and we go online and look up all the personal details about their credit history if we can. So there's this constant tug of war going on, and as I said, these things need to be discussed, whether it's the United Nations or bilateral discussions. We really need to sit down and talk about where do you draw the lines. I mean, you know, in London, for example, there are cameras everywhere. There's absolutely no privacy in that city at all.
Obviously an issue that needs to be resolved as soon as possible, bearing in mind interests from terrorist organizations, rogue states or whatever. This has clearly got to be addressed very fast.
It certainly does, and you can bet right now that all kinds of people who want to make trouble are zooming in and looking at all sorts of things. But this doesn't limit itself just to air bases. It's hard for terrorists to actually do anything about a base out in the Nevada desert, but people can be looking right now at the houses and the layout, the security layout of other people. That's going to cause problems in terms of just common crime. So this is all across the map.
Russ, really good to talk to you on this. Yes, sorry, you were just going to, just time to finish off, Russ?
Oh, I just said it's across the map, literally and figuratively.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Great to chat to you about this. Investigative journalist and editor of WhoWhatWhy.com, Russ Baker, there live in New York. Thank you.